questions. Now it's time for Cleantech. In particular, the Cleantech Group. These are the guys who invented the term Cleantech, who coined it in the year 2002. And this is Stephen Marcus, one of my favorite fellows at the Cleantech Group, based in London. You are Director of Business Development, and you will be speaking to us. Welcome to Ecosummit.
Thank you, Jan.
Right.
Okay, so hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. So Jan asked me to kind of open with some kind of opening thoughts about generally what's happening within Cleantech and some of the trends. So this is a topic that we at the Cleantech Group can talk about for days, but I'm going to try and condense some kind of high-level stuff in kind of the next 10 minutes. And I thought that the best way to do it would be to do it more visually and through storytelling rather than getting kind of data and numbers. So I set myself the task of trying to find a single image, which for me, or person in this case, which represented what Cleantech is. And so this is going to be a character in the story of what I believe Cleantech is. So this was the image that came to me in the pub one Sunday afternoon. And in case you're wondering what it is meant to be a spotty teenager. And there are several reasons kind of over time why I kind of believe that Cleantech is experiencing, an investment in Cleantech is experiencing some of the changes and the challenges and the growth pains that many teenagers face. So if you'll bear with me for 7 minutes or so, I want to explain kind of 5 reasons why. Reason number 1, Cleantech is insecure and struggling kind of with its self-image. So this is something that I think we've seen a lot of on the investment scene, and I think actually the investment numbers in Europe will perhaps say it all. So back in 2010, we had about 168 companies in Europe getting a VC investment, $1.2 million, and you can kind of see that it's gone up, it's gone down, up and down, up and down, and then since 2014, it's really, from a venture capital perspective, been going down and kind of entering some kind of gothic, kind of dark phase. And I think this has had 2 implications for startups raising funding. The first is that generally VC is going more later stage. The second is that it's going towards more capital-light businesses, just because I think the VC investors don't have the financial capacity like they used to kind of carry kind of highly intensive kind of capex businesses. Interestingly, I think actually this insecurity is actually coming much more from the investor side than the startup side. Over the years, I feel like the quality and the quantity of entrepreneurs has been going up and up and up. But I think more over time, there are investors who are struggling to kind of associate and identify with the term Cleantech. And weirdly, I actually think that's partly a good thing, because I think there are investors still engaging in the space, but perhaps more of in a nuanced way, like focusing on materials or chemistry or kind of Agtech. But on the other hand, I think it's a really bad thing, because I think this kind of number, investment activity in Europe, just really kind of needs to go up. I think I can kind of understand this trend a little bit. I think the Cleantech over the past 10 years, looking back, I think probably hasn't performed as well for VCs as they have wanted. But it's of my opinion that I think that we have a much more better, full understanding of kind of Cleantech industries. The quality of entrepreneurship is going up. I think that many of these industries are reaching really pivotal points. And I actually think now's the time to perhaps be doubling down on investment in the sector rather than shying away from it. Second reason, Cleantech is fearless. So I think all the time I see kind of new companies starting up, and I think there are areas within Cleantech which we're just seeing huge amounts of investment and increasing amounts of investment, and companies are there wanting to really change the way certain industries operate. So I have 2 kind of industry case studies to show you. The first is mobility service apps. So 10 years ago, I think many people, this didn't exist, and many people may question why this is considered as a Cleantech thing, but I think now more people understand how kind of optimizing routes and sharing journeys can somehow offset some of the emissions that kind of car drivers or maybe Volkswagen drivers may be emitting. And I've been amazed at how much investment has gone into this sector since June. I think it's just gone absolutely bananas. We've seen Uber raise billions, Diddy Quadi, and Lyft, and BlaBlaCar, whose CEO was on the stage last year raising $200 billion. And there's been quite a few more out there who have just raised a lot of money to really change the way that we travel and the way that we move around in urban environments. And I think it's something that's giving every automaker and every auto OEM out there something to think about. Second area where I think it's gaining a lot of interest is the area of Agtech. So back in 2010, this was something that was considered very niche within Cleantech. It really didn't get much attention, but as you can see, kind of over the years, it's really kind of taken some kind of interesting growth spurts. It's now become quite a significant sector and quite a main sector within kind of Cleantech investing. And I think it's a real recognition that that where there are big challenges and where there are good companies, there are some investors who are still willing to kind of take the plunge and kind of get stuck in. Third reason why I think Cleantech is kind of going through teenage years. Cleantech is becoming increasingly hooked to the internet. So I think, again, something that I think we probably all knew, but I wanted to show it visually. So this year, so far, about a third of kind of all Cleantech investment went into software companies, and that's kind of really taken hold, whereas it was quite niche back in 2008. And I think this is kind of interesting from two fronts. The first is actually, I think, kind of Cleantech, the convergence of Cleantech and IT is permeating all areas of the industry. I think in the early days, people may have seen, felt that kind of Cleantech and web kind of really intersected with buildings mostly, but I think now it's in all areas, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's water, whether it's energy, whether it's transport. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is actually Cleantech still predominantly remains a hardware kind of industry. So there's still the majority of the investment going into kind of engineering solutions, into innovative hardware solutions, and that I think is always going to remain kind of an important component of kind of the clean economy going forward. Fourth reason, Cleantech is giving its parents kind of big challenges. So I had a bit of reservation kind of putting up this title, because I actually think that probably the more accurate way to explain it is that Cleantech is giving its parents opportunities to grow. And I wanted to, again, use two kind of anecdotes to explain that, kind of big corporates who are making kind of bold and striding moves on this front. The first is of E.ON, and I think we have E.ON here. And I was personally kind of quite moved and touched by their kind of move to kind of split off and spin out their conventional and their fossil fuel assets from their kind of renewables and really making renewables core to what they do. And I kind of really like this quote from the CEO back in December. The decision to spin off its fossil fuel and nuclear generation business and focus on renewables was driven primarily by technology rather than the impact of political decisions. And I definitely think that this kind of template that E.ON is setting could encourage others in the energy sector in Europe to kind of do the same. The second example is from the oil and gas industry. It's Statoil, and it's a company that we're quite close to. They have created a renewables business, which they announced in May, and I think it was also interesting what they said about that. The Statoil renewables business area will seek opportunities to deliver attractive returns through technology and business innovation, as well as venture activities. And the reason why I think this one's interesting is because I think there's been a lot of talk about how, I guess, low oil and gas price is really challenging kind of the clean tech industry. But I actually think to some extent it's actually doing the opposite, because I think these oil and gas companies are realizing that their capex-intensive oil projects are not profitable with today's oil price and are now looking to become much more of an integrated and diversified kind of energy company and kind of realizing the attraction kind of renewables. We've seen similar things from kind of Total, which I also think is a very pioneering kind of oil and gas company. You know, they are converting a lot of their oil refineries into biorefineries. They have made interesting investments this year in people like STEM, which is a leading kind of US energy storage kind of company. So I'm expecting kind of, I definitely believe we're going to see much more of this and see much more real transition from these large corporates into a clean and a renewable kind of business, and I think that's only good news kind of for the clean tech sector. Final reason why clean tech is a teenager, and Jan alluded to this, is that clean tech just turned 13. So our founder, Nicholas Parker, coined the term back in 2002, so we are celebrating our 13th birthday, and I think that's something to definitely be celebrated. I think that the industry has kind of come a long way. If you look at kind of how the industry has developed over the year in terms of renewables, in terms of efficiency technologies like LEDs, and I'm personally looking forward to seeing how it develops kind of in the future. and kind of grows into being a stable adult, so if you so speak. So I think that's nearly my time up, so I won't tell you about what I do, but I think that'll be it for now. So thank you very much for listening.
And you actually also have an online platform. It's called i3
Yes.
Connect. How many startups do you have there that are creating profiles?
So in total, we have about 24,000 startups on that. I think in terms of the ones that have been created, I think it's 4,000 or 5,000 users. And then we also, on the other side, have corporates who are looking to invest in and partner with those companies. And we have a lot of data about companies and transactions that are happening in the space.
Cool. So you can see the competition is a little bit unfair. They're a lot bigger than Ecosummit, but we are catching up.
We are good friends. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen.